All right, everybody. How you doing? Happy Wednesday afternoon, if it's Wednesday afternoon wherever you are, or happy Thursday, I guess, if it's tomorrow. Merry Christmas if you're watching this really far in the future, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. I am Shaun. I'll be your teacher for the next hour or so. Welcome back. I see some familiar faces, or familiar names, I should say, I guess, in the chat. Of course, for anybody who's new, we've got Lane, our friendly moderator, there in the chat. If throughout the class you have questions about anything, put them in the chat, and we will try to answer them as best we can. Okay, so yeah, I see lots of familiar people. Selma, Luciana, I can see John's back. Good to see you, John. And yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling good. Let's get started. Okay, so today's class the focus of today's class is really going to be primarily on written English, academic writing in a way, not so much on spoken language. Hopefully what I talk about today will help you in your academic studies. Whether you are a student of English as a second language or third language, or a native speaker, this issue that we're talking about today can affect everyone in academia, whether it's high school students or college students, whoever. So let's get rocking here. Eduardo's here, good to see. Before we get into the academics, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about happiness. Oh, it's a wonderful thing, happiness. Look at this happy little boy, and look how happy she is. Isn't that wonderful? A happy little drink with a little umbrella in there, and the sun and the birds singing and everything. It's a wonderful thing. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about happiness, and there's a reason for it. Don't worry, I haven't gone crazy or anything, but I want to know what makes people happy, or more specifically, okay, in the chat. Here's the question: what makes you happy? Okay, I want you guys to throw in some stuff in the chat. What types of things, people, activities, objects, whatever, what makes you happy? Okay, so it could be anything. It could be a sunset, a nice relaxing sunset on a beach, or it could be some nice cheese. I don't know, nice cheese. Yeah, could be. Makes you happy, or or one-arm push-ups might make you happy. I'm not sure. Yeah, or maybe guys that can do one-arm push-ups might make you happy. The question is, what makes you happy? Selma, I see chocolate. Yeah, I know that's. I was a little bit gray there for a minute. I think the picture's getting a little bit better there, guys. A little bit, maybe. Oh yeah, Eduardo says passing TOEFL would make him happy. John says passing college course would make him happy. Good. What else? What else makes you guys happy? This is good. You can put more stuff in the chat too, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what makes me happy. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a few things that make me happy. Other than, of course, being here with you guys makes me happy. Teaching English, lots of things make me happy. But let's look at a few things. Okay, have we cleared up the images? Are we good here now? Yeah, good, cool. Okay, so what makes me happy? Family. Somebody's saying family there. Luciana says family. Gardening, and chocolate, of course. I think chocolate makes everybody happy. So, on that note, 3 things that make me happy. First, of course, foremost, playing with my kids makes me happy. Yeah, obviously, but more than anything else. Yeah, so my kids make me happy. Second to that, close second, but not quite as good, is coffee. All right, a good cup of coffee makes me very happy. You know what? Even a mediocre cup of coffee can make me. Even sometimes a bad cup of coffee, like on the side of a highway, truck stop coffee, can still make me pretty happy. All right, coffee makes me happy. And music. I'm a big fan of music, so when I discover new music, it makes me happy. All right. When I discover a new band, obviously the picture here is the Beatles. They are not a new band, but even if you find an old band that you didn't know about, and I listen to them and I like it. So that makes me happy. These are 3 things. And I said lots of other things make me happy. Cheeseburgers, unicorns, whatever. But today, I just want to look at these 3 things, okay? I'm going to let's put them all into a sentence, all right? And then don't worry, this will all make sense. So these 3 things that make me happy are playing with my kids, a good cup of coffee, and when I discover new music. So this sentence is the focus of our class today, because although this is a sentence about happiness and about things that would make me happy, the problem is the way I've written this sentence is a mistake, all right? And if you wrote this sentence for me, or if I were a student and I wrote this sentence about happiness, it would make your teacher unhappy. Yeah, look, and so unhappy that he didn't bother to shave or put on a decent shirt. That's how unhappy the teacher is, okay? So let's not make your teachers this unhappy. Let's try to make your teachers a little bit more happy. So what is the problem with this sentence, all right? The 3 things that make me happy are playing with my kids, a good cup of coffee, and when I discover new music. The problem is, the thing that we're going to be looking at today is avoiding a mistake with something that we call parallel structure, okay? Also known as parallelism, if you prefer, although that's a bit of a mouthful, okay? So today, we're looking at parallel structure. If you are a Smrt student already, we are in 125, Unit 9. We're going to be in the writing section, writing 9.1, okay? And I'll bring that up shortly, okay? So parallel structure. What is parallel structure? What do I mean by that? So parallel structure is a balance, okay? It's a balance between ideas in a sentence. Now, when you write a sentence, if you have multiple ideas, or perhaps a series of points or certain related ideas, these ideas need what we call a grammatical balance, a balance of grammar in the sentence between ideas. So, I mean, for example, if this was one idea, this rock over here, and this is another idea, they have to be equal or even. So what exactly does that mean? How do you make a balance? Well, really, it's a simple concept, and really what it means is that if you have a series of things, of ideas in a sentence, you have to match your nouns with nouns, verbs with verbs, adjectives with adjectives, and so on, adverbs with adverbs. Or also phrases with phrases and clauses with clauses. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What do you mean matching these things up? So let's look at my sentence, okay? My sentence that I wrote for you is not grammatically parallel, so my sentence is a mistake. What is the problem with it? The problem is I'm talking about 3 things in this sentence, and my 3 points, the 3 things that make me happy in this sentence, are grammatically different in structure in this sentence, okay? So what are the 3 things that make me happy? One is playing with my kids. So here we've got a phrase with ing, right? Playing with my kids is a phrase. The next one, a good cup of coffee. Now technically that's a phrase as well, but that's more like an adjective and then a noun and then a phrase together. So this and this, these are not the same grammatical structure. And even more so, the third point, when I discover new music, that is a clause, right? There's a subject and a verb and a conjunction at the beginning. So these 3 things, playing with my kids, a good cup of coffee, and when I discover new music, are not the same. And for them to make sense, or for them to be considered good writing in academia, in university, or wherever, they have to be the same grammatical structure. So basically, the concept of parallel structure is you got 1 apple, you got 2 apples. This apple, which one doesn't belong? If any of your apples are different, then you have a problem with parallel structure, right? So how do we fix it? Let's look at it. There are different ways you can fix it. So the easiest way, I would say, is I've got playing with my kids So I'm going to change a good cup of coffee to drinking a good cup of coffee. So now I've got playing and I've got drinking. Okay? And then the last part, I would change when I to discovering. So now the sentence, 3 things that make me happy are playing with my kids, drinking a good cup of coffee, and discovering new music, right? So now this is parallel, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's magical. Now you've got, come on, 2 apples, big money, 3 apples in a row. Everything's wonderful. You can rejoice, you can be happy. This guy's happy, thumbs up from him. And now balance is restored. All right? That's basically what you're looking at for parallel structure. So again, if you have all 3 points in the same structure of ing, ing, ing here, then that is parallel. Okay? So let's look at one more example. Okay? And again, if you guys have questions while I'm going through this, Selma's asking a question. What does phew mean? Did I say phew? Phew. Did I? I don't know.
I did.
Oh, Lane did. Phew is like a sigh of relief. It's like something almost bad, or something bad almost happened, perhaps. But then you're relieved, so you're like, whew. Luckily, nothing bad happens. Okay. All right. Fatima wants to know, how about having a good cup of coffee? Sure, that's excellent. So you could take drinking and make it having a good cup of coffee is fine too. Usually when I have it, I like to drink it too. So I chose drinking, but that's fine as long as it's ing. Okay? This is good. All right. Diana's asking a question here. To this paragraph is correct, you need to written with ing. In this case, I think the easiest way to fix this, I think, Diana, if this is your question, is ing for the 3 points. But you don't need to. I could say 3 things that make me happy are my kids, coffee, and new music. Right? Now I've got noun, 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 and that's fine too. And we'll talk about that in a second. Let's look at another example just to really drive this one home. Okay, so another example of a sentence that is not grammatically correct, okay, because it's not parallel. So employees should be treated fairly and with respect. Obviously a good idea, but the structure is not correct here, because you've got fairly is an adverb, right? I think you guys were talking about adverbs with Mark earlier today. Fairly is an adverb. With respect is a phrase, right? You've got that preposition and then a noun to make a prepositional phrase. So if you've got an adverb and then a phrase like that, that is not parallel. You have to fix it. You have to change it. Okay, so how do we fix it? What are we going to do? Done. Easy, just like that, right? So employees should be treated fairly and respectfully. Now you've got a parallel sentence, 2 adverbs, just like that, and again, magical. Everything's wonderful again. It's beautiful, okay? Now I should say, now going back to the original mistake here, that you have choices, as I was just talking about with Diana, I think, asked the question. It doesn't have to be fairly and respectfully. You can change it in different ways. So here's a different way to change this sentence so that it's grammatically correct. Take fairly, and why not change the adverb instead of the phrase, right? So you take fairly and you make it the phrase, with fairness. So employees should be treated with fairness and with respect. Now you've got a parallel sentence, 2 phrases that are equal, wonderful, everything's great, everything's beautiful, everything's wonderful, okay? Yeah, somebody like the double rainbow? Magical is correct, that's right, Eduardo. Yeah, if it's magical, it's correct. If it's beautiful, all right. So one more way to fix that, guys, just so we're clear. This sentence, employees should be treated with fairness and with respect, okay? This second with, the second preposition, is unnecessary. If you put it there, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But because you've got the first with over here, you don't need it, right? So you could say employees should be treated with fairness and respect, okay? So it's important to remember that the preposition can be shared between nouns, right? With fairness and with respect, like this. And again, if you do that, then everything is fine, everything's great and peaceful and beautiful and wonderful. Okay, so the point is, oh yeah, before I go on, one thing also, speaking of prepositions being shared between nouns or whatnot, is this sentence. This was my first sentence, right? And I said that this was wrong, and this is an area where students often make mistakes with parallel structure, okay? And it's here. So if I say playing with my kids, okay, if I say playing with my kids and a good cup of coffee, you have to remember that the noun could be connected with, or both nouns could be connected to the preposition with. So this could be confusing. This could look like I like playing with my kids and I like playing with a good cup of coffee. I don't know, I just throw it around, I run around with it, and that's not generally how I enjoy my coffee. I typically drink it. That's what we do here in Canada. I don't know if you guys play with your coffee, I'm not sure. But in this case, you have to be careful of those prepositions because sometimes it can affect the meaning of your sentence, right? So that's why we had to change that, that first one, okay? So to be clear, what we just saw there, and I saw a few people asked some questions there. All three of these sentences behind me, employees should be treated fairly and respectfully, with fairness and with respect, or with fairness and respect. All of them are perfect. They're fine. They're all parallel, and neither is better than the next. Okay, so you have choices, which is good. I need a drink of water. I think I'm choking here on the internet live on YouTube. So that's basically parallel structure. I think it's now time for you guys to get your hands dirty. All right, now it's work time for you. That's what that means. So I would like, please, if Lane, our friendly moderator, could go into, whoops, we're not going to the mistake of the week yet. If we can go into the document, okay, Lane, if you could share the doc in the chat for everybody, or I should say also, if anybody here is already a student in Smrt, you can always go into 125. Okay, so Lane is going to put the link to the exercise in there. Actually, Lane too. Just make sure that I made it available to everybody. The sharing options there. Okay, I may have forgotten to do that, but if you're a student in Smrt, go into 125 Unit 9, and you can go right into writing 9.1 and go right into the exercise here. And this is what we're doing. If you're not a student in Smrt, don't worry about it. Lane will put that link in there. Okay. Yeah. Mark thinks he might have to step in here. Maybe. I'll give Mark some kind of signal if I can't breathe. Okay. Or I'll fall over. If I fall over, Mark will just step in. Don't worry about it. It might take a minute or two. We'll put the music. If I fall over, we'll put the music back on, and Mark will come in, and everything will be fine. Okay? He knows what to do. So hopefully that won't happen. If everybody's with me on the link, or I'll even leave this here on the screen. Maybe I'll make it nice and big for everybody to see here. Oops. Okay, for now, I'm going to leave it like that. Oh, there we go. Let's enlarge it. Let's make it big. So to start, I've given you 6 sentences here, guys, and all you have to do is finish them with your own ideas. Okay, read the sentence, finish the sentence, and put your answer in the chat. Okay, the first one says, my roommate opened the letter from her parents and and then you can say whatever you want, as long as it is in good taste, obviously, and as long as it is grammatically parallel. So I would say, my roommate opened the letter from her parents and began to laugh. Okay, so she opened and began. You've got two past tense verbs, and everything is great. Okay, so start on that for me, guys. Go into this. Put your answers in the chat, and I'm going to pop off. I'm going to put the happy music back on for you guys. I'm going to jump out of the screen, and then you guys can do this, and then we'll go over it together. All right? I'm out of here. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and we will answer them. I'm going to pop out. All right, everybody. Thanks for all the good answers. Lots of good stuff coming in the chat. Let's put some of this stuff up here so that we know we're all on the same page. First, actually, I'm gonna switch documents here just so I can write on my own, because that was the one in Smrt. So let me just make this bigger again for all to see. So we had, yeah, lots of good stuff coming in. Some of us said, let me see an answer for A. Yeah, a lot of people went maybe the easy route, I think, for A, and said something like, my roommate opened the letter from her parents and read it. Of course she did. Yeah, right. So she opened the letter and read it. Good. I mean, you could have done anything as long as it was a past tense verb. It would have been good. Okay. What about B? The car drove off the road into the ditch and. All right. Now this is excellent, Eduardo. I'm gonna pick on you a bit, okay? Because I noticed that you wrote crashed. Now the problem with this is a really good example. I love these little mistakes. It's a really good way to learn. Okay, so this is a good example of a sentence that's not parallel, because here you've got the subject and the verb drive or drove, past tense. The car drove off the road. So off the road is a phrase that's describing drive. So it's like an adverb. Okay, so it drove off the road. It drove into the ditch, and then you've got crashed here, right? So in this case, crashed would be a verb. So you've got phrase, verb. So that is not parallel. That's like apple, apple, orange, right? So you want to change this to a phrase instead. Anybody get a phrase there? And the same thing, Paul, I saw you mentioned flipped is the same thing. So you've got to give me some kind of phrase. I see, yeah, someone put down the hill. Luciana, the same problem with that, right? To say exploded is a problem because you've got a verb. So you need it to be a prepositional phrase. I would say the car drove off the road into the ditch and we'll say into a tree. Okay, into the ditch and into a tree. But don't worry, everybody's fine. No one was hurt, okay? But now you've got three phrases that are parallel, okay? The fact that I used into twice isn't the most amazing sentence you could write. You could try to come up with a phrase that had a different preposition if you wanted to be creative. And I think, again, Selma, you wrote, what do you say, down the hill? Yeah, right. How about that? We'll change that. We'll put Selma's up here. Down the hill. All right. So, C is when a student falls asleep in class, the teacher should either ask him to leave the room or, now there are some good answers coming in here. I don't know if some of you are teachers maybe. To wake up, yeah, okay. To ask him to. Somebody said, who said throw water? Oh yeah, Diana said throw water at him. I like that one. We'll say that. That's what I do. Yeah. All right. So, or coffee. Yeah. Throw your coffee at him. So, the teacher should either ask him to leave or throw water at him. So you've got the verb ask here, and then you've got the verb throw, and that is grammatically parallel. Everything's wonderful there. Okay. This is good. All right. I see Paul, maybe? Who put that? Yeah, Paul said wrapped around a tree. Around a tree would be okay, right? Because, again, around the tree is a prepositional phrase. But you have to get rid of that verb, okay? Because, again, going back to B, the only verb here is drove. You got one verb, and then you've got phrase and a phrase, and then you need another phrase there. No more verbs in this sentence if you want it to be grammatically parallel, unless you put a verb with each phrase. So you could say the car drove off the road, flipped into a ditch, and rolled down a hill. Now you've got the three verbs like that, okay? Some good questions here, guys, good. Okay. D, whomever is chosen as project leader needs to be responsible, thorough, and obviously here, you really just need an adjective, right? If you put an adjective in here, you'll be great. Okay, so Eduardo said honest, good. Yeah, who else? Where's some more for D here? Diana said respectful, excellent. What else do we have here for D? Anybody else? Creative, okay. Mohammed says creative. We're going to put Mohammed's answer up there. That's great. Luciana said level-headed, which is a good adjective. Somebody who keeps their cool, who's not too emotional, doesn't freak out all the time. All right. This is good. All right, 2 more. E, ending a bad relationship. Not good, but ending a bad relationship is better than. What do we have here? Give me an answer for E. Someone's living in agony. Yeah, that's true. Paul said living in a bad one. That's good too, or not good, but good answer. What else do we have here? Any other ones for D? Or sorry, E. Living along with it. Good. These are all good answers. I'm going to throw one in there. I'm going to say ending a bad relationship is better than starting one. All right? That's what I'm going to say. That's my answer. All right? Nice and parallel, because again, here you've got 2 INGs. Here you've got, in this case, it's 2 gerunds, right? You're comparing 2 verbal nouns. So ending is better than starting. Yeah? Some people say that. Keeping from Che. That's great. Good. And F, the last one. Here you've got Prague is a city revered for its architecture. Rome is known for its nightlife. And how are you going to finish that sentence here? Of course, Selma, the best answer, I would have to say, is, and Vancouver for its great teachers. Okay. So I'm going to take that because I definitely agree with it. I'm going to put that up here. But I'm also, whoops, get rid of that. Okay, let's put this answer up here. Now this is good, but it's still not quite parallel, right? Because if you look at it, it says Prague is, Rome is, and then Vancouver, you've got no verb there, Selma, right? So you got to be careful of that, okay? In this case, you need, this is a clause here, this is a clause here, so you need this part here that you've put, you need your answer to be a complete clause, all right? So you could just say something like Vancouver is famous, right? Vancouver is famous for its great teachers. Of course it is. And what other answers do we have in there for F? Give me a couple more. Huntington Beach is known for surfing competitions. From John, good. Yeah, Huntington Beach. What else do we have? One more? Eduardo says Mexico is popular for its food. Now, the only thing I would change about that is if you're talking about Mexico, just so it is as close as possible, you've got Prague as a city, Rome as a city, Mexico obviously being a country, unless you're talking about Mexico City, which you could be. You could save that and say that you're talking about Mexico City. All right, so this is good, guys. This is excellent. We're on our way to avoiding this problem with parallel structure. So let's kind of put it to the test. There's still a little bit of information that I haven't shared with you yet, but I'm going to give you a couple more tips here. But first, let's get back into let's say back into the presentation, because we're going to do something that's connected to parallel structure here. I'm going to go all the way down. We'll start where we left off here. You guys getting your hands dirty. Not too dirty, hopefully. Okay. So it's time once again for everybody's favorite, my favorite at least. It's the mistake of the week. Oh my goodness, what's going on? This is the mistake. All right, and I'm back. You guys are so quick on the draw. So many answers coming in here. All right. I can't quite, you know what, I can't even quite tell who got to it first. And it's kind of, yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to maybe pinpoint exactly which part is wrong, but it is a mistake with parallel structure. And I think, it's really connected to the word both here, okay? So you have to be careful with both when you're trying to avoid mistakes with parallel structure, all right? When you use the word both, you have to make sure that the ideas that come after both are parallel, are the same. So here, you've got both students and 4 parents. So you're saying both noun, students, and phrase. So that's not parallel. And you might, some of you may have missed it because you've got that for before both. You may have been, it's easy not to notice it when you're writing something quickly. So you have to be careful of it because this is kind of the pattern. Both x and y have to be the same grammatical structure. So both noun and noun, for example, or not x but y, not only x but y, neither x nor y, and either x or y. Okay, so anytime you're using any of these combinations, you need the ideas to be the same thing. Whether it's a phrase, 2 phrases, clauses, nouns, whatever it is, you have to make sure that it's the same. So let's fix it. We said a school uniform policy would be beneficial for both students and for parents, right? Now that doesn't work. So take the second for away, and now you're saying for both students and parents. And now it's parallel. It's great, okay? Or, of course, because you have options, you could switch that around and say both for students and for parents. Again, using the for twice is a little bit unnecessary, redundant, right? So it's not necessary to do it like that, but you could if you wanted to. It's kind of a choice of yours, okay? So when you're looking at it, make sure you're looking for these mistakes. Now, this is what we're going to do now. Again, I want you guys to go back into the document that we were looking at. Okay, go back in there. I'm going to go into my copy. And now I'd like you guys to look at part 2. All right, I'm going to get you guys to do some more work for me. Now again, here, I've given you 5 sentences. And each one of them has a mistake with parallel structure. I'll put them all on the screen so that you can see them. And then again, I'm going to pop off so that you can fix these mistakes. Okay, so you've got 5 sentences. You have to find the mistake with parallel structure and fix it. We can do the first one together, though, okay? So she would rather make a homemade birthday cake for her friend than paying for something store-bought. Now, it's hard for me to even read it because it's a mistake. But because you've got rather here and make, she would rather make than, you got to take this ing here away and say she would rather make a homemade cake than pay for something store-bought. So you're contrasting 2 verbs, right? 2 base form verbs. Rather make than pay. If you fix that, then you're parallel. Everything is wonderful. Okay, so take a couple minutes. It won't take you very long to do these 4 sentences. I'll put them all up here. I'm going to pop off. I'm going to disappear. And I'm going to put the music back on. Put your answers in the chat, and then we'll talk about it together. And then we'll talk about how this applies to your academic writing specifically. Okay, so I'm going to pop off again, but I promise I will return. All right? All right, okay, so lots of good stuff in the chat, lots of good answers coming in. So let's look at them together. B, the beach is popular among the locals because it is quiet, secluded, and has great scenery. So again, most of you picked up on the fact that quiet is an adjective, secluded is an adjective, which means not many people around. And then you've got has great scenery, you've got a verb and a complement there that is not parallel. So that's the problem, that last bit there. So some of you, I think, let me see some answers here. Yeah, Luciana said beautiful. I think Yaroslava said the same thing, maybe. Yeah, some people said beautiful. Serene was another answer. That was good. This is good. This is good. Now, I would say something like the easiest way to change has great scenery. Beautiful is fine. Beautiful is beautiful. Maybe a new word I can teach you or something I can remind you of is but scenic. Okay, so it's quiet, secluded, and scenic, meaning it has beautiful scenery, right? It's got a beautiful view there. I think that's great. Good. Okay, what about C? Now C, poor Amanda telling Leon again that she was not interested in going to his apartment to play computer games. Okay, so she said it patiently and with a smile. So you've got an adverb here and you've got a phrase here. Obviously, these are not parallel. They have to change. Now, a lot of you, I think, tried to change with a smile, which is good to try to have two adverbs. It gets a little tricky, though, because I think I saw, like, Yaroslava, you said, it's a good one, gladly. I think, Eduardo, you said happily. I would say that the only tricky thing about this is the grammar is fine. I'm just not sure if that's the best choice of adverb to use, just because I don't know if she would gladly say it. She probably is annoyed. She's probably irritated by this guy, maybe, because she's telling him again that she's not interested. But who knows? I don't know how Amanda feels. Maybe she is glad. Maybe she's happy to tell Leon that she's not interested in him in his computer games. But this is parallel, all right? This is, I will say that. Another way to do it is keep with a smile and change patiently to something else as well. You could change patiently to a phrase, okay? And I saw, Selma, you got it. You changed it to, you first went with patience, or patient, I should say, and then changed it. And that was kind of the answer that I would go for too. I would say with patience and a smile. So with a noun and a noun, Amanda told Leon again she was not interested in his apartment and video games. Okay, this is good, really good. Okay, what about D? What do we have in here for D? Carolina, how are you? You've got some answers here. So Carolina, what did you say? And played an old. Oh, okay. So Carolina, you wanted to change this part, right? Now, if you changed it, that would be fine because began is past tense. If you turned play into past tense, that would be fine too. But the problem with parallel structure would still be there, okay? Because the issue, if you're thinking about those apples that we were looking at of which one is different, where is the pattern and which one does not belong in this sentence? Here you've got he, subject, picked is your verb. Then over here you've got began as a verb, but this second one here doesn't have a verb. So you've got he picked up his guitar, a harmonica, and began to play. The tricky one to notice, but this is a mistake here. Okay, so some of you, I think, went like this. Maybe, who did that one? Yeah, Yaroslava, you did that one. I think Eduardo, you said the same thing. You said he picked up his guitar and a harmonica and began to play. And again, that's fine. I just dropped my mic here in a second. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. So this is fine. You might want to avoid two ands so close together. I mean, it's correct. It's fine. How about this, just to make it a little bit different? He picked up his guitar, I'd say, took out a harmonica and began to play an old Neil Young song. If you don't know who Neil Young is, that's your homework for the week. A famous Canadian singer, but don't worry about that. So you got past tense verb, and a past tense verb here. Again, everything is parallel, everything is wonderful. All right, one more. E, going to the dentist, and when you have to speak in public are two very common fears, and I think most of you got it. What did you have? So Selma said, going to the dentist and speaking in public. Eduardo, going to the dentist and giving a speech in public. Luciana, you got it. Someone else got it that I can't see who sent it in. Having to speak in public. These are all great answers, as long as you change this to the gerund, right? So going to the dentist, and we'll just keep it simple. Going to the dentist and speaking in public are two very common fears, and now you've got two gerunds there, and everything's wonderful. Good stuff. Okay, so how about this, guys? Let's talk about one more thing before we have to say goodbye, because time is just ticking by, tick-tock, so fast. It's crazy how fast the time goes when you're trying to avoid problems with parallel structure. All right, so let's go back into my presentation here for a minute. And I'm going to go way down, and I'm going to talk about how this applies to you in your academic writing. All right, I'm going to go way down here. All right, so talking about writing tips. There we go. Thesis statements, okay? Thesis statements is what we're going to be talking about for the next minute, because that's really where parallel structure comes into play, becomes very important. And again, at the beginning of class, I mentioned that this is not just for students of English as a different language than their own. This is for native speakers too. I personally, in high school, I thought I was the king of English, but I didn't know what parallel structure was until my very first essay of my very first year of university. I thought I was so smart, and I got that horrible C plus or something terrifying like that, and I looked at it, and the teacher had written something about parallel structure or something not being parallel, and that was the beginning of my education in parallel structure. So to help you avoid that awful C plus and to help you continue to think you're super smart, let's look at a thesis statement. Now, when you're writing a good thesis statement in an essay, it's really important that all of the points in your thesis statement are parallel. So let's just look at one real quick. Thesis statement. Music should be taught in school. Okay, that's the opinion. So this is obviously opinion-based essay. Music should be taught in school because it can develop creativity, relieve stress, and improve academic performance. All right, now this is a parallel sentence because you've got it can followed by develop creativity, relieve stress, and improve academic performance. Is Julian, our tech guy, asleep over there in the corner? That's fine. It's great. It's okay. We're almost done anyway. Yeah. So this is a great thesis statement because it's got 3 points. Not just because I wrote it, but it's got 3 points that are all parallel. You've got the verb and the object, right? Develop creativity, relieve, and improve performance. This is the type of thing that you want to do in your academic career when you're writing this thesis statement, if you have to write the thesis statement for an essay. Paul is asking a question. Parallel is all in the same tense. Yeah, John thinks that was an inspiring story. Hopefully I've inspired young minds. Yeah, that's my goal here. Yeah. Paul, your question about the same tense, yes, I mean, it has to be the same tense, but it has to be beyond the same tense. It has to be the same part of speech, verb or gerund or phrase or whatever it is, okay? So that is it. That's the thesis statement, my little tip for you. Be careful when you're writing thesis statements to make sure that your points are parallel, okay? So that means that, oh, look at this happy person. We're basically out of time. Homework for the week, if you choose to do so, is number 1, go and be happy, like this person here in the leaves. Okay, that's the easy part. Hopefully, you won't have trouble being happy. Selma, yeah, Selma, you're right. I should have thrown coffee on him, and I will next time. Unfortunately, it looks like I drink coffee all the time, but this is, unfortunately, it's only ice water. All right, but next week I'll bring coffee just in case. So homework for the weekend, guys. This is turning into a comedy hour over here. This is great. Go down to part 3. You can do this for the week. And next week, if you want to share these with me, if you have questions about them, we can talk about it. And I gave you a few things to do with subject-verb agreement last week. If you have questions about that, I'll stick around in the chat for a little while too, and you can ask me some questions, okay? I'm going to pop off in a minute. But homework for the week is to take these 5 questions and answer them with parallel sentences. So A is, what are 2 habits that you should probably break? So what are 2 things that you should probably stop doing? So I should probably stop eating so much sugar and while drinking so much coffee, maybe, yeah? 2 habits. Make sure that they're parallel, okay? So you can do these sentences, write them, answer these sentences in writing, in parallel sentences. Share them with me next week if you have questions. And as far as I know, as of right now, we'll be at the same time. If that changes, then we will announce it. All right. Yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad to say goodbye, but it is that time. It's time for me to go home to play with my kids. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day or your night or wherever you are. If the sun is shining or the stars are out, do this homework if you like. We'll see you here next time. Thanks for joining. Make sure to check out the Facebook page, Learn English on Facebook. Check out the channel. Share everything. Share it with your friends. Like us, and let's get even more students in this crazy thing we've got going here. Okay, so we'll see you here next week, probably the same time, but if not, we'll let you know. Okay, thanks for coming, guys. It's always my pleasure. And again, I'm going to pop out. I'm going to disappear. We'll put the bye-bye music on, but I'll be in the chat if you guys have a few questions, okay, before I go, okay? So be happy, and we'll see you next time.